Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Western Flavors. In our last episode, we experienced the highs and lows of Amy and Ty's early parenting journey. What started as a beautiful morning with Lindy's first word horse, perfectly fitting for a Bartlett, quickly descended into chaos. Amy struggled to balance work with a traumatized horse and caring for Lindy. Ty came home exhausted from a long shift only to face hours of unsuccessful attempts to soothe their crying daughter. The episode ended with both parents feeling like complete failures, questioning whether they're cut out for parenthood, sitting defeated on the floor with a crying Lindy between them. If you're enjoying this series, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a chapter. Today's episode brings us the continuation of their crisis, a dangerous moment that forces Amy to confront her limits, and the wisdom of family that finally helps them find their way. Let's dive in. Morning light filtered through the loft windows, and Amy woke with a sense of grim determination. She'd barely slept, but she had a plan. While Lindy and Ty still slept, she'd gone online and ordered 3 parenting books with overnight shipping. One had arrived late last night, and she'd stayed up reading it by flashlight while Ty snored softly beside her. The book promised a revolutionary approach to soothing fussy babies. It had hundreds of 5-star reviews, glowing testimonials from grateful parents, and a money-back guarantee. Amy had taken notes, highlighted passages, and felt genuine hope for the first time in weeks. This was going to work. It had to work. Ty stirred beside her, then sat up groggily.
What time is it?
6:30. Lindy's still asleep.
That's a miracle. She usually wakes us up by 6.
I know. And I have a plan for when she does wake up.
She showed him the book, explaining the method enthusiastically. It involved a specific routine feeding at exact times, playtime structured in certain ways, a sleep schedule down to the minute. The book claimed that babies thrived on predictability, that most crying came from overstimulation or inconsistent routines.
This looks complicated.
But it works. Look at all these reviews. Parents saying their kids went from crying all the time to being calm and happy within days.
Okay, let's try it.
They heard Lindy stirring in her crib, and Amy jumped up, book in hand.
Okay, according to this, we feed her immediately when she wakes up, then do 15 minutes of quiet playtime, then a walk outside for sensory stimulation, then
Lindy's cry cut her off, but Amy was determined. She followed the book exactly, narrating each step to Ty, who watched with a mixture of hope and skepticism. The feeding went fine. Lindy ate her oatmeal without complaint. But when Amy tried to transition to quiet playtime, which the book defined as calm interaction with soft toys and no stimulation, Lindy immediately started fussing.
no, sweetie. Not those blocks. The book says soft toys only during this window. Here, play with your stuffed horse.
Lindy threw the stuffed horse across the room and reached for the blocks, crying when Amy didn't give them to her.
Amy, maybe we should just let her play with what she wants?
No, the book says structure is important. She needs to learn the routine.
But Lindy wasn't interested in the routine. The quiet playtime devolved into full-scale screaming. Amy pushed forward, determined to make it work, following each step precisely even as Lindy fought her at every turn. The sensory walk outside resulted in Lindy arching her back in the stroller and wailing. The calm transition to nap time was anything but calm. By the time they reached the scheduled nap, Lindy was so worked up that she screamed for 40 minutes before finally passing out from exhaustion. Amy sat on the loft floor, the book open in her lap, tears streaming down her face.
I don't understand. I followed it exactly. Every single step. Why didn't it work?
Ty sat beside her, putting his arm around her shoulders.
Maybe the book isn't right for Lindy. Or maybe it works for some kids, but not others.
Or maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I can't even follow simple instructions from a parenting book.
You're not doing anything wrong. Amy, you're an amazing mother. One book's method not working doesn't change that.
But Amy couldn't hear him. All she could hear was Lindy's cries echoing in her head. All she could feel was the crushing weight of failure. Ty left for the clinic at 8, kissing Amy goodbye and promising to come home early if he could. Amy stood in the loft doorway watching his truck disappear down the driveway, feeling more alone than she'd felt in years. She had to go back to Sarah Mitchell's ranch today to work with Thunder, she'd promised, and Sarah was counting on her. But she also had Lindy, who'd woken from her forced nap in an even worse mood than before. Amy called Lou.
Hey, any chance you could watch Lindy for a few hours? I have a client I need to see.
I wish I could, but I'm driving to Calgary for a business meeting. I'll be gone all afternoon. Can it wait until tomorrow?
Not really. The horse needs consistent work, or we'll lose the progress we made yesterday.
What about Georgie? Is she around?
She's at school, then going straight to a jumping clinic. She won't be home until evening.
Jack?
He's fixing fence in the back pasture. He said it would take all day.
There was a pause, and Amy could hear the concern in Lou's voice when she spoke again.
Amy, maybe you should postpone the client if you don't have childcare.
I'll figure it out. Thanks anyway.
She hung up before Lou could argue, already making a plan. She'd bring Lindy with her. She'd done it before. She'd set up a playpen in the barn, give Lindy some toys, and work with Thunder while keeping an eye on her daughter. It would be fine. She could handle this. Sarah Mitchell's ranch was chaotic from the moment Amy arrived. Lindy was already fussy from the car ride, unhappy about being strapped in her car seat for 45 minutes. Amy set up the portable playpen she'd brought in the barn aisle, gave Lindy her favorite toys, and hoped for the best. I really appreciate you coming back. Thunder was much calmer after your session yesterday. I think he's starting to trust you.
That's great. Let's see if we can build on that today.
They brought Thunder into the round pen, and Amy began her work. The gelding was still nervous, still wary, but she could see the progress. He wasn't as tense as yesterday, wasn't pressing himself against the fence. He watched her with curiosity mixed with fear, and she knew they were on the right track. Behind her, Lindy started crying. Amy glanced back. Her daughter was standing in the playpen, arms reaching toward Amy.
It's okay, baby. Mama's working. Just a few more minutes.
But Lindy's cries intensified. Thunder's ears flattened, and he shifted nervously, responding to the distressed sounds.
Lindy, please. Just play with your toys for a little bit.
She tried to focus on Thunder, tried to read his body language and respond appropriately, but Lindy's cries were breaking her concentration. Thunder was picking up on Amy's tension, his own anxiety rising in response. Do you need to take a break? Check on her?
No, I'm fine. She'll settle down in a minute.
But Lindy didn't settle down. She screamed louder, shaking the playpen rails. Thunder spooked, cantering to the far side of the round pen, and Amy knew she was losing him. She made a split-second decision. She'd work Thunder for just 5 more minutes to end on a positive note, then take a break with Lindy. She could do both. She had to do both. She approached Thunder slowly, her hands out, speaking softly. He watched her, muscles quivering, ready to bolt. Behind her, Lindy's cries reached a fever pitch. And then everything went wrong at once. Lindy somehow managed to tip the playpen over. It crashed to the ground with a loud bang, and Lindy fell out, screaming. Thunder panicked at the noise, rearing up on his hind legs. Amy turned toward Lindy instinctively, and Thunder's front hooves came down right where she'd been standing a second before. She stumbled backward, tripping over her own feet, and fell hard. Thunder wheeled around, eyes wild, and for a terrifying second, Amy thought he was going to bolt right over her. She rolled to the side just as his hooves pounded the dirt where her head had been. Amy! Sarah was in the round pen in seconds, positioning herself between Amy and the panicked horse, while Amy scrambled to her feet and ran to Lindy. Her daughter was unhurt from the fall, just scared, but Amy's heart was pounding so hard she thought she might be sick. She'd almost been seriously injured. She'd almost gotten trampled because she was trying to do too many things at once, trying to be super mom, trying to prove she could handle everything alone.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I shouldn't have brought her. I wasn't focused. I put Thunder's progress at risk and nearly got myself hurt. I'm so sorry.
Are you okay? Did he hurt you?
No, I'm fine. Just shaken up.
But she wasn't fine. Her hands were trembling as she held Lindy, and tears were streaming down her face.
I need to go. I'm sorry. I'll come back when I have proper childcare. I can't do this safely today.
Of course. Take care of yourself and your daughter. Thunder can wait. Amy loaded Lindy back into the car seat and drove home in silence. Her daughter finally quiet in the back seat, perhaps sensing her mother's distress. The near accident played over and over in Amy's mind. She could have been seriously hurt, and for what? To prove she could do everything herself? To avoid asking for help? She was sitting on the porch steps when Jack found her an hour later, Lindy asleep in her arms. He sat down beside her without a word, and for a long moment they just watched the horses in the pasture.
Lou called me. Told me you seemed stressed this morning. Want to talk about it?
I almost got trampled today.
She told him everything, the failed parenting book, trying to work with Thunder while watching Lindy, the playpen falling, the horse rearing, how close she'd come to being seriously injured.
Amy, why didn't you postpone the client appointment?
Because I can't keep postponing things. I have work to do, clients who need me. I can't just stop being a horse trainer because I had a baby.
Nobody's asking you to stop being a horse trainer, but you can't do everything yourself.
I should be able to. Mom did.
Your mother had help, more help than you remember. Lou was 11 when you were born, old enough to watch you for an hour, while Marion worked with a horse, and I was here every day, available to step in. And Amy, even with all that help, Marion struggled sometimes. She had days when the horses had to wait, when she had to choose you over a client.
Amy looked at him, surprised.
She was an incredible mother and an incredible horse trainer, but she wasn't superhuman. Nobody is. Being a good parent isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about knowing when to accept help, when to admit you can't juggle everything, when to prioritize what matters most.
But I feel like such a failure asking for help. Like I'm admitting I can't handle being a mother.
Or maybe you're admitting you're human. Amy, do you know what Marion said to me when you were about Lindy's age?
What?
She said, "Jack, I don't know how people raise kids alone. I couldn't do this without you. Your mother's strong, capable, independent Marion said she couldn't do it alone. And she wasn't ashamed of that. She was grateful she didn't have to."
Tears spilled down Amy's cheeks.
I'm terrified I'm screwing her up, Grandpa. That I'm not giving her what she needs. That I'm so focused on trying to be everything, the perfect mother, the perfect horse trainer, the perfect wife, that I'm failing at all of it.
You're not failing. You're learning. And learning means making mistakes. It means trying things that don't work.
He put his arm around her shoulders, and Amy leaned into him just like she had as a little girl when things got too hard. They sat in silence for a while, and Amy felt something shift inside her. The constant pressure she'd been putting on herself, the need to be perfect, the shame about asking for help, it started to loosen just a little.
I can't do this alone.
That's the first step. Now let's figure out what that help looks like.
When Ty came home that evening, having left the clinic 2 hours early after explaining to Scott that he needed to be with his family, he found Amy, Jack, Lou, and Georgie sitting around the kitchen table with a calendar spread out in front of them.
What's all this?
We're making a schedule, a real schedule where we're not trying to do everything ourselves.
I'm taking Lindy 2 mornings a week, Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. to noon. That gives Amy consistent blocks of time to work with horses without interruption.
And I can watch her after school 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. That covers the dinner chaos time when everyone's stressed.
And I'm on call for emergencies. If you have a last-minute client or one of you gets stuck at work, call me. I'll drop what I'm doing.
Amy looked at Ty and he saw tears in her eyes.
This is amazing. All of you. This is thank you.
He sat down beside Amy and took her hand.
I talked to Scott today, told him I needed more predictable hours, at least for the next year or two. He's adjusting the schedule so I'm home by 5 p.m., 3 days a week. The other 2 days, I might have late calls or emergencies, but at least we'll have some consistency.
You did that.
We're in this together, Amy. I've been putting too much on you, assuming you could handle everything because you're so capable, but that's not fair. We need to share this equally.
And you two need to communicate better about what you need when you're overwhelmed, when you need a break. No more suffering in silence and trying to be heroes.
Amy felt overwhelmed, but in a good way. For the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe.
I need to tell you something. I almost got hurt today working with Thunder. The horse reared and almost landed on me because I was trying to work while watching Lindy and I wasn't focused enough. It was bad.
The table fell silent. Ty's hand tightened on hers.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. But I could have been seriously hurt. And it made me realize that trying to do everything myself isn't just exhausting, it's dangerous to me, to Lindy, to the horses I'm working with.
That must have been terrifying.
It was, but it also woke me up. I can't keep pretending I'm superhuman. I need help. I need all of you.
And you've got us. All of us. Always.
The next afternoon, Amy and Ty drove together to Sarah Mitchell's ranch, with Lou happily watching Lindy back at Heartland. It was the first time they'd worked with a horse together since Lindy was born, and it felt incredible. They approached Thunder as a team, reading his body language, supporting each other, making decisions together. Without the distraction of a crying baby, without the pressure of trying to do everything alone, Amy could focus completely. And with Ty there, she felt safer, more confident. Thunder responded beautifully. Within an hour, he was letting them both touch him, was walking calmly around the round pen, was showing signs of genuine trust. This is amazing. He's like a different horse.
Horses can feel when we're stressed or distracted. Today, I could give him my full attention, and it made all the difference.
On the drive home, Amy and Ty held hands across the center console.
That felt good. Working together.
It felt right, like we used to, before we had Lindy and everything got so complicated.
We need to do this more. Not every client, but the difficult ones. The ones that need both of us.
I'd like that.
I'm sorry I haven't been more present. I've been hiding at work, if I'm honest. Coming home to a crying baby and an exhausted wife was hard, and it was easier to take extra shifts than to face it.
I get it. I've been doing the same thing with horses. Throwing myself into work because, at least with horses, I know what I'm doing. I feel competent.
But we need to face it together. Be incompetent together. Figure it out together.
Together. I like the sound of that.
That evening, the entire family gathered for dinner at the ranch house. It wasn't planned, everyone just seemed to gravitate there, drawn by some unspoken need to be together. Jack made his famous chili. Lou brought fresh bread from the bakery. Georgie set the table. Tim showed up with ice cream for dessert. And Amy and Ty brought Lindy, who was in a surprisingly good mood. They crowded around the table, passing dishes, talking over each other, laughing. Lindy sat in her high chair between Amy and Ty, and for the first time in weeks, she seemed content. She ate her mashed vegetables, played with her spoon, and watched the chaos around her with bright, curious eyes. So I was thinking, if I watch Lindy 3 afternoons a week, maybe she could come watch me ride sometimes? Start getting comfortable around the arena?
She'd love that. She already says horse constantly.
As if on cue, Lindy looked up from her dinner and grinned. Horse. The table erupted in laughter. Lindy, delighted by the reaction, said it again. Horse. 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 Kid's got her priorities straight.
Just like her mother and great-grandmother.
4 generations of Bartlett women, all horse crazy. Some things never change.
Amy looked around the table at her family, her husband beside her, her grandfather at the head of the table, her sister and niece across from her, even her father contributing to the conversation. These people had offered to help her without judgment, without making her feel like a failure for needing support. This was what Marian had. This was how she'd managed to be both an incredible mother and an incredible horse trainer. Not by being perfect, but by accepting help, by letting family be family.
You okay?
Yeah. Better than okay. I'm grateful.
After dinner, they moved to the living room. Georgie played with Lindy on the floor, making her giggle with silly faces. Lou and Jack cleaned up the kitchen together. Tim and Ty talked about a fence project. And Amy sat on the couch, watching it all, feeling the weight she'd been carrying finally lift. This was enough. This was more than enough. Her daughter was loved and safe. Her marriage was strong. Her family was supportive. And she didn't have to be perfect, she just had to show up and do her best. Later, back in the loft, Amy and Ty put Lindy to bed together. She went down easily, worn out from playing with Georgie, content, and secure. They stood over her crib for a moment, watching her sleep.
Asking for help doesn't make me weak. It makes me smart. And that family isn't just there for the good times, they're there for the hard times too, if we let them in.
And being a good father doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being willing to admit when I don't know what I'm doing and asking for help, figuring it out.
We're going to be okay, aren't we?
Better than okay. We're going to be great. Not perfect, but great.
They settled into bed, and for the first time in weeks, Amy felt peaceful. She didn't have everything figured out. She still didn't know what half of Lindy's cries meant. She still felt overwhelmed sometimes by the juggling act of motherhood and work. But she wasn't alone. She had Ty. She had family. She had a support system that would catch her when she fell. And that was enough. That concludes today's episode of Heartland and our special 2-episode parenting series. What started as a crisis, Amy and Ty feeling like failures, unable to soothe their daughter, drowning in exhaustion and self-doubt, transformed into one of the most important lessons of their lives. The failed parenting book taught them that there's no one-size-fits-all solution to raising a child. Every baby is different, every family is unique, and what works for others might not work for you. That's not failure, that's just reality. Amy's near accident with Thunder was a wake-up call. In her determination to prove she could handle everything herself, she put herself in danger and compromised her work. Sometimes doing everything alone isn't strength, it's stubbornness, and it can have serious consequences. But the real turning point came when Jack shared his wisdom about Marion. Amy had been carrying an impossible standard, believing her mother had done it all perfectly, never struggled, never needed help. Learning that Marion had said, "I couldn't do this without you," to Jack freed Amy from the crushing weight of trying to be superhuman. The family's response was beautiful. Lou, Georgie, Jack, even Tim, they all stepped up without judgment, without making Amy and Ty feel like failures. They created a schedule, a support system, a way for Amy and Ty to be parents and individuals, to work and rest, to struggle and ask for help. And in the end, that family dinner with Lindy happily saying "horse" and everyone laughing together showed what really matters. Not perfection, not having all the answers, but being surrounded by people who love you, who support you, who show up when you need them. Thank you for joining us for this special series about the real struggles of new parenthood and the power of family support. We hope Amy and Ty's journey reminded you that it's okay to not have all the answers, okay to feel overwhelmed, and more than okay to ask for help when you need it. If you enjoyed these episodes, please like and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, have you ever learned that asking for help was actually the bravest thing you could do? We'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, this is Western Flavors.